In this video, we will try and understand the anthrax, all about the anthrax, its agent, its causes, its transmission, its diagnosis, its toxins. All about this we are going to learn in this video. So without further ado, let's dive into deep. Here are different names which are related to the word anthrax. Malignant pustule, malignant edema, splenic fever, woolsorter disease, malady charbon. This name is basically a French word which means sickness charcoal. अगर आप इनको easily remember करना चाहते हो तो एक abbreviation ये सीख लें. एक trick है mom's work at home. So the first name of mom, MOMS, they are related to, if you remember this and you have to just extract the words which are in red color, you have to extract that and you have to remember a name related to them: malignant pustule, malignant edema, splenic fever, woolsorter disease, and malady sharpen. Hope you understand this. Another, we have the anthrax. You can see over here they are rod shaped, and the next slide shows that its agent is the anthrax, Bacillus anthrax. They are the gram-positive bacteria. They are rod-shaped bacteria. Along with this, they are found naturally in soil. They affect both domestic animals and wild animals, from sheep, cattle, goat, antelope, and deer. They affect the wild animals living in the forest as well. This disease is non-contagious. Basically, if animal is having the bacillus anthrax in their body, and that is causing the anthrax in their body, so it is not possible that it is going to be, spread, disseminate in the atmosphere by the flu, cold in the animal. But yeah, the the contact with the physical contact with the animal can cause, can spread the disease as well. And there are both forms of this disease, namely vegetative and spore. They are alive in the cells, and they hijack the cell functions and cell receptors, and they go inside and they become vegetative over there. But in the atmosphere where there is no, harsh condition, fluctuating environment, not a suitable environment for them, so they make spores. And there are over 1,200 strains of this Bacillus anthrax. So this is a fatal disease, and it causes death, and causes the animal. And animals suffer more when they are acquired this disease. There are three forms of this disease, namely cutaneous, inhalation, and the gastrointestinal. And the name cutaneous means skin, right? If someone get this form through the skin, then the skin is going to suffer a lot. Inhalation from the nose, from the respiration. If the spores go inside the animal body uh, from the nose, right? They inhale it, and spore goes into their lungs. So their intestines or their lungs, along with the alveoli, are going to suffer a lot. And the gastrointestinal, they take this through the mouth by eating the food, by eating or grazing somewhere where the spores are found, and they can contact with this, and they can acquire the gastrointestinal form of this anthrax. Here you can see that animal are grazing over here, and for example, the grass over here is contaminated with the spores. So they can acquire this disease very easily. On the other hand, if the insect is biting them on their skin, and the insect is taking the spores on their legs, or they are contaminated with this type of anthrax, so it can transfer the disease, and this is the fatal as well. This is fatal disease. You can see over here almost 95% of cases are related to the cutaneous anthrax, and their incubation period is from 3 to 5 days. And papules, these are the papules, second they convert to the aster, right? Plague, this type of the sore in the animal body, this is aster, and they convert from this to this, right? And this can cause severe edema in the animal body. Edema simply means swelling. So the edema can occur, and it can cause fever and malaise. malaise is something like that, but in the malaise, animal feel abnormal, animals suffer a lot, but its symptoms are unsure. So fatality rate is 5 to 10, 5 to 20%, right? 5 to 20% are fatality rate. For example, if the animal is suffered from the cutaneous anthrax, and there are fatality rate, chances of the death are 5 to 20%. While if we talk about the inhalation anthrax, so its incubation period is 1 to 7 days. There are two phases, first phase and second phase, and in these phases the symptoms differ. The animal is going to feel various symptoms in these, and their fatality rate is almost 75 to 90%. On the other hand, if we talk about the first phase, then the animal is going to feel mild fever and malaise. In the second phase, the animal is going to feel the respiratory distress, and along with this, they are going to feel dyspnea, breathing problems, cyanosis, and that can occur within 2 to 3 days as well. So inhalation, humans can acquire this by working on a wool, and by tanning the wool, and by working with the bones of the animal. If we discuss the gastrointestinal anthrax, then it is most commonly acquired by the humans by eating the undercooked meat. In animals, it's also common. When animal is eating the meat, which is, animals usually eat that meat which is undercooked, which is basically uncooked. But that meat basically contain the spores. It is contaminated, so they can basically going to acquire that disease very easily. Incubation period is 5 to 10, 5 to 2 to 5 days, and fertility is very higher. From the cutaneous, from the inhalation anthrax, the fertility rate over here, the gastrointestinal tract anthrax is very higher, from 25 to 75%, right? And the fertility rate over here 75 to 90%. So we can say that number one, fertility rate is found in the inhalation anthrax, and then the gastrointestinal anthrax, and then we have the cutaneous anthrax. If you talk about the animal transmission of this disease, so if the animal is grazing on the feed, on the soil, or on the bone meat, which is contaminated with the soil, with the spores, right? Contaminated with the spores of this bacteria, then the bacteria is going to go inside and going to cause the disease. So over here, the simple picture depicts that a bacteria known as Bacillus anthrax produce dormant spore, right? They are not active in the environment, but when they go inside the human body, they get the environment to live, to nourish, right? And they become vegetative. They become active over there, right? And they have the capacity. These Bacillus anthrax has the capacity to live in the soil in the spore form, and they can live for long time, even for decades as well. And when the spore go inside the body of an animal, what is going to happen? They are going to be activated, and they are going to cause the disease in the animal. How they cause the disease? They produce a toxin. In further video, we are going to talk about this. But here to understand is that when they become active, bacteria multiply and spread out in the body, produce toxins and poisons, and cause severe illness and ultimately the death of an animal. In case of the inhalation, they can also cause the death. There are two toxins, there are two virulence factors. This point is very important. It can come into the MCQs as well. There are two virulence factors, poly-D-glutamate capsule, tripartite protein toxins. These are tripartite, three तीन हिस्सों में, ठीक है? Protein toxins ये जो है Bacillus anthrax release करता है, namely edema factor, protective antigen, lethal factor, right? We are going to understand over here. You can see this is the Bacillus anthrax. It's capsule, right? From here, this one. In the light blue color, you can see the capsule, which is known as poly-D glutamic acid capsule, or we can also say this poly-D glutamate capsule, right? Over here, you can see that they are endotoxins. We all know that, and these are protective antigens. These are lethal factors, and this is the edema factor, right? This is the edema factor, and you can see over here, they are going to the protective antigen hijack the receptors in the cell, and what they do, they with the help of this LF lethal factor and edema factor, with the help of the protective antigen, they get inside the cell with the endocytosis, in the process of endocytosis. And the LF, what the LF did, LF